All right, let's go through a real quick but thorough comparison of the iPhone 16e and comparing it to the specs and capabilities of the iPhone 14 Pro. So let's start off by saying that the iPhone 16e is the lowest priced iPhone now in the iPhone 16 family. Replaces essentially the iPhone SE, which used to be $429, but now with the higher price of $600, it's still cheaper than all the other iPhone 16 models, but it does offer new it's a more just design features and everything like that is just newer and more modern. The iPhone 14 Pro is an older Pro device, but I still think it still packs a lot of extra stuff, better things than the iPhone 16e in some cases. So like I said, $600 is the brand new price of the iPhone 16e, but prepaid wise, you can get this as low as $300 or even free when you trade in devices. So just look around. So potentially the iPhone 16e is still going to be way cheaper than the iPhone 14 Pro. Apple doesn't sell it anymore, but when it was released, it was $1,000. Now it's a couple of generations behind. So you could definitely get this phone anywhere between $400 to $500. So it is still an awesome price for this type of phone. So let's move on and talk about the specs. So the weight wise, the iPhone 16e is way more lightweight than the iPhone 14 Pro. That's due to the build quality. Both are good, but the iPhone 16e glass front, glass back aluminum frame. iPhone 14 Pro glass front, glass back stainless steel frame, so a little bit better build quality on the iPhone 14 Pro if you like to rock your phones without a case. Next, both of these are eSIM only devices. There's no nano SIM card slot here in the US, so that's the same thing right there. Both of these have the same dust and water resistance at 6 meters for 30 minutes, so it's a tie right there. Now, the display wise, this is where we see a huge difference. The iPhone 16e has the notch, which is older design than the iPhone 14 Pro's design. The iPhone 14 Pro is the first Apple device to have that dynamic island, and it's, even though it's an older device, it looks newer from the front. So that's one advantage the iPhone 14 Pro has. Although functionality wise, you're not getting that much more from dynamic island. But the huge advantage that the iPhone 14 Pro has over the iPhone 16e is that it has the ProMotion 120 Hz refresh rate, which makes the screen very smooth and fast when you scroll up and down, left to right. The iPhone 16e has the older 60 Hz refresh rate. So this is where the budget term comes in. And the 60 Hz refresh rate is very slow compared to the ProMotion, and it is a staple of cheaper iPhones compared to the Pros. Apart from the refresh rate, the iPhone 16e doesn't have always on display like the iPhone 14 Pro. So that's another difference major for the iPhone 14 Pro. Software wise, both of these are running the same software. You're just gonna get just maybe one or two more generations of upgrades on the iPhone 16e. Is more future-proof than the iPhone 14 Pro. Chipset wise, the iPhone 16e is going to be more powerful with the A18 versus the A16 Bionic on the Pro. Every day you won't really notice it, but this is more of a future-proof type thing where you'll notice. Storage wise, both of these have 128 gigs of storage. The iPhone 16e actually has more gigs of RAM, has 8 gigs versus the 6 gigs on the 14 Pro. So that's a difference right there. The cheaper phone has has more RAM than the 14 Pro. The camera system. Let's talk about the camera system. Huge difference here. Just like the front, these devices look different. The back also looks different because the iPhone 16e has a single 48 megapixel camera. The 14 Pro has 3 cameras: a 48 megapixel main, 12 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide. So a huge advantage on the iPhone 14 Pro if you care about having ultra wide and telephoto lenses. This is more in line for people that are into photography. Although both of these take really good pictures and videos, if you are into more specialized picture and video taking, For example, if you're a realtor, you'll probably take advantage of that ultra wide camera a lot, or if you like to zoom in a lot on your pictures, then the 14 Pro is a better device for that. But for the average general consumer, the both of these will take great pictures and video in 4K. Selfie camera, both of these have 4K shooters, so there's no difference there. Now, both of these have Bluetooth 5.3, so it's a tie, and both of these have different, actually, well, they have different charging systems. That's one difference is here. iPhone 16e has the newer USB Type-C. The iPhone 14 Pro is the last generation of iPhone to still have Lightning. So that's one difference. Is a practical difference is how you charge your device. USB-C, which is newer and more universal, versus Lightning, which is an older technology and is going to be phased out soon. It's going to be harder and harder as the years go by to get that Lightning connector to charge your device, but that may not matter to a lot of people. Next, both of these do have Face ID to unlock your device, except one is housed with a notch and the 14 Pro has the dynamic island. So overall, this is where it makes a big difference in how this device looks. The iPhone 14 Pro is older, but it still looks more modern than the older the 16e notch. But internally, the iPhone 16e is a better device. Externally, the iPhone 14 Pro is a better device with the display from the front and the back. The iPhone 16 has really good battery life, better battery life than the iPhone 14 Pro for sure, because it has 26 hours of video playback. The iPhone 14 Pro will give you a good battery life, just not as good as the iPhone 16e. Both charge 50% in 30 minutes. No MagSafe on the 16e. 14 Pro does have MagSafe. So charging wise, the 14 Pro is a better device, but the iPhone 6e has better battery life overall. So here's my takeaway between both of these devices. If you want a more modern phone, on the inside, the iPhone 16e is better. But if you want a more modern phone, on the outside is the 14 Pro, even though it's an older device. If you're into taking ultra wide shots and telephoto camera zooming, then the iPhone 14 Pro is better than the 16e. It's still gonna be a better camera taking device. The iPhone 16e just looks older. iPhone 14 Pro looks newer but is older. The display is better on the iPhone 14 Pro because you have the ProMotion display and always on technology. And last but not least is going to be the price. And if you could get the iPhone 16e for $300 and less, I think that's the better deal. But if you get the iPhone 14 Pro used, Apple doesn't sell it anymore, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck technology wise for a more modern device. So there you have the comparison right there. iPhone 16e looks older but performs better. iPhone 14 Pro is more modern looking, has better cameras, but internally it is slower in performance than the iPhone 16e. So that's been my comparison of the 16e and the 14 Pro.